It was the day we went to the temple to pray for blessings, and that was when my sight was restored. My wife, Alara, was still kneeling on the ground, praying as usual. She said, "God, your humble servant is willing to trade 10 years of my life for the health of the person I love." It had become our tradition to come here and pray on our wedding anniversary every year. The familiar temple priest praised Alara for her unwavering devotion to me, and nearby tourists were deeply moved by it. They helped Alara hang the prayer tablet on the highest branch of the ginkgo tree in the temple courtyard. The tablet bore the name Kai, but I don't even go by Kai. Kai was Alara's ex-boyfriend. I had originally wanted to surprise her with my restored sight, but I froze as everything unfolded before my eyes. Her best friend, who had come with us, shamelessly mouthed something in front of me. Her lips formed the words, "You're so bold. Aren't you worried about getting caught?" Alara, with a playful and carefree expression, mouthed back, "What's there to be afraid of? He's blind. Even if he finds out, he won't dare leave me." Her confident attitude was something I saw all too clearly, and I felt a wave of dizziness wash over me. For a brief moment, my steps faltered, and Alara hurried over to steady me. That familiar citrus fragrance filled my nose, but all I could feel was bitterness and nausea. She anxiously asked, "Why didn't you tell me you weren't feeling well? Let's go to the hospital together." I instinctively responded, "But we were supposed to meet friends for dinner this afternoon, right, James? What are you talking about?" Her worried expression seemed genuine, unlike anything I had seen before. Over the years, she had always treated me as a priority, never once showing any disdain for the fact that I was blind. She had always been there for me, caring for me, making me feel like her world revolved around me. But then, in the next moment, she gestured for a woman who had been following behind her to help me into the car. What sent chills down my spine was the fact that the woman's voice was identical to Alara's. She said, "How could dinner be more important than you? You're my husband, and I'll always be by your side. Let's go to the hospital." She struggled to help me into the car, her arm wrapped tightly around mine as her head rested on my shoulder. Outside the car, Alara was still signaling to her best friend, mouthing, "Go ahead, celebrate Kai's birthday." In that moment, everything clicked. Now I understood why Alara, despite having to work, was almost always by my side. Why, as my wife, she had cared for me so diligently over the past decade without ever seeming tired of it. It was so easy to deceive a blind man. Chapter 2. I sat in the car watching the changing scenery outside. For a man who had just regained his sight, everything felt incredibly new, but I had no interest in appreciating any of it. The sunglasses on my face did a good job of hiding my newly restored eyes. I emptied my mind, allowing my memories to drag me back to that name, Kai. The first time I heard of him, I hadn't yet lost my sight. He was a well-known figure at our school, as dazzling and brilliant as the sun. The second time I heard of him was after I went blind, when a friend told me that Alara had been dating Kai, but by then, Alara was already my girlfriend. That night, Alara didn't come home, and I had prepared myself to break up with her. However, in the morning, she came home disoriented and lost, collapsing into my arms and crying uncontrollably. "James, you're all I have left," she said. "Will you marry me?" She claimed she hadn't been out with Kai. Instead, she had sent him abroad. After his flight left the previous afternoon, she had gotten drunk and cried by herself. She hadn't betrayed me, she said. She had just needed to put an end to a teenage crush. At the time, I never even thought she chose to stay with me because she loved me more than she loved Kai. She would be heartbroken over Kai's departure, but always so indifferent when it came to me. Sometimes, when we visited her family for holidays, the kids in her relatives' households, who were often quite mischievous, would pull cruel pranks on me because I was blind. Whenever I got angry and tried to discipline them, she would say, "They're just kids, James. Don't you love kids?" But I knew the truth. It was Kai who had told her that he loved kids, and I had repeatedly told her that I hated it when people used my disability to make fun of me. Yet she always looked so innocent, claiming she had just forgotten and asking me not to be so harsh. I knew then that only purposeful actions could be forgotten so quickly. How foolish I was, pretending she was just forgetful. She didn't forget. She just chose to remember someone else. The woman who had brought me home pushed the door open, and I froze in place. I even began to wonder if my newly restored sight was malfunctioning. So I asked, "What color is our home's decor?" She answered, her voice trembling slightly. "It's the light blue and white color scheme you love, a minimalist style." Liar. The brown solid wood furniture and antique decor didn't resemble a light-colored minimalist design at all. I remembered when Alara had asked for my opinion on the decor. I had smiled wryly and said, "I'm blind. I can't see anything, and life has lost its colors. Just pick what you like." At the time, she had pouted and said tearfully, "But even though you can't see, you should live in an environment where you feel at peace. Even if your eyes can't see it, your heart will still find tranquility." We had discussed it and agreed on a minimalist design style, but now I saw the truth. It had all been a lie. I had been completely deceived, thanking the workers, thinking she was considering my feelings, but the house I had lived in for so long was decorated in Kai's favorite style. I suddenly understood why the workers had been so indifferent when they agreed with me. I had thought they looked down on my choice, but I was the one who had been tricked and hadn't even realized it. I had been speaking to myself like a fool. Chapter 3. The woman helped me into the bedroom, and I sat on the edge of the bed, my eyes fixed on the photo frame on the wall. What should have been a wedding photo was now replaced by a picture of a man and a woman holding hands. Anger burned in my chest, making it hard to breathe. I could hardly accept the fact that I had been living in a lie all this time. As the sunlight faded with the setting sun, I heard the door open. The woman had left, and now Alara was back. She hurried to my side, climbed into my arms, and said, "Darling, I love you so much." But her familiar citrus fragrance was now overpowered by a pungent smell of smoke. Before I could speak, she hummed a cheerful tune and left the room. "I'll open a bottle of wine, darling. Let's celebrate our anniversary at home." Her phone, which she had left on the bed, buzzed. The first thing I saw was her lock screen, the back of a man. It wasn't me. Then came 3 messages. "Alara, thank you so much for spending my birthday with me. Having you here has made this the happiest birthday I've had in years. I'm back in the country. Are you still going to stay with your replacement? We've missed so many opportunities in the past. I think we both deserve a chance to fix our mistakes." My heart sank. Then I heard Alara calling me from outside, asking me to come for dinner. I told myself that I would ask her everything today. I couldn't let these years of my life become a joke. At the very least, it should end with some dignity. But when I opened the door, I froze again. Sitting on the sofa was a man who looked 70 to 80% like me, smiling at me with a provocative grin. Alara said, "This is my distant cousin. He's here for dinner with us tonight." She came out of the kitchen and teasingly asked, "James, why are you still wearing those sunglasses at home?" I forced my anger down. My eyes feel extra uncomfortable today. The cat I raised, big orange, rubbed against my pants, silently comforting me. Even the cat could sense the abnormality, but my wife, the one who should be closest to me, showed no reaction. She merely said, "Oh," before going on to greet her cousin for dinner. Chapter 4. Alara, who never touched a drop of water when it came to cooking, had made a full table of dishes tonight. Looking at the two of them exchanging glances across the table, I lost all interest in questioning her. Instead, waves of nausea surged in my stomach. Our housekeeper, a distant relative of Alara, rarely cooked on time, and I often went hungry, developing a stomach problem as a result. Maybe she didn't want me to complain about her, so eventually, she began to serve me food that wasn't fresh. The meat always had a sour, spoiled smell, so I ended up firing her in a fit of anger. I thought Alara would apologize when she came back, but instead, her first reaction was to scold me for making things difficult for an old woman, accusing me of nitpicking, wasting food, and not understanding the hardships of others. But Alara, who was so considerate about others' hard work and hated waste, had thrown away an entire dish of meat because Kai said there was a hair on one of the chicken wings. I left early, not wanting to interrupt their sweet moments. That night, I went to bed early. I wanted to end everything on our anniversary. Fragmented memories from my college days turned into dreams. I woke up several times throughout the night. Alara had been the campus beauty at C University, bright and beautiful, like a ray of sunshine in spring. At the time, everyone said the campus beauty should be with the top student, and Alara and Kai made the perfect couple. It was also then that people started saying I looked a lot like Kai. But why was it that no one ever said Kai looked like me? Back then, I had been jealous of Kai because I liked Alara too, and I wanted to confess my feelings to her. But after I went blind in the fire, I buried my feelings for her deep inside. At that time, when I left school because of my blindness, people pointed and talked behind my back, some with sympathy, others with mockery. But it was Alara who stood up to stop them. She said, "You treat misfortune like a joke, thinking it makes you superior. How absurd. Fate doesn't favor anyone. Today you may stand in the light, but tomorrow you might fall into the shadows just as easily." In the quiet, she took my hand and led me out of the school. I had thought it was just a moment of pity, but she kept entering my life. I confessed my feelings to her, and she happily agreed to be with me. But later, I found out she had done it despite her parents. At that time, both Kai and I shared a similar fate, both becoming mute after the fire. Her parents didn't approve of her being with Kai, so she decided to find someone like me, a blind man, to defy them. But perhaps even she didn't expect that this act of defiance would last for 10 years. And now, with Kai back in the country, all of her actions had already foretold the end of our story. Chapter 5. I woke up early the next day, signed the divorce papers, and then took Big Orange to leave. I ran into Kai again. He had stayed in the guest room next door last night, and now he was blocking my way with a mischievous grin, sticking his foot out in front of me. I crushed his foot without hesitation, and he fell to the ground in pain but didn't make a sound. Alara heard the noise and rushed out of the bedroom, shouting, "Kai!" She shoved me aside ruthlessly and helped Kai up. In a frantic tone, she scolded me. "James, can't you watch where you're going? You've bumped into my cousin." I looked at them indifferently, not feeling the slightest bit of sorrow. I just found it laughable. After all, who in their right mind would tell a blind person to watch where they're going? She rushed out of bed when she heard the noise, but naturally, she didn't notice the divorce papers on the bedside table. The way she was so focused on Kai made me see her true nature. I was relieved I had come to my senses. Leaving her now was not too late. Kai wrote something in her palm, and I could clearly see it. "With you by my side, I don't feel any pain at all." Alara, her eyes red, hugged him tightly and sobbed. "James, apologize to my cousin right now." I ignored her and walked towards the door. She didn't ask where I was going, just spat out more harsh words. "Are you blind and deaf now? You'd better never come back." Chapter 6. 3 days after leaving home, I rented a small house and started sending out resumes everywhere. Because I didn't have a college degree, my options were limited, and only one company was willing to hire me as a security guard. Every day after work, it was just Big Orange and me. During these days, Alara didn't come looking for me. Whether she knew I had regained my sight or not, she wouldn't come looking for me, just like when she was so sure to her friends that I wouldn't dare to leave her. She always thought with unshakable confidence that I would give in first. One day, I took Big Orange to the pet shop for a bath. While waiting, I saw Kai walking and holding a stray dog, and Alara was with him. They didn't notice me, so I lowered my hat to clearly see every interaction between them. Kai wrote something in her palm, and she gently responded, "Kai, you're so kind to rescue stray dogs. You're nothing like that blind man. He's petty. I'll never talk to him again. You risked your life in that fire to save me and ended up losing your voice. I'm so sorry. Back then, I just wanted to tell you that I would spend my whole life making it up to you." Kai stepped forward to hug Alara, and she nestled into his arms obediently. After a long while, Alara, with red eyes, pushed him away to go to the restroom and calm down. Then my phone rang. She said, "Honey, what's this about the divorce papers? Don't scare me, okay? I'm really worried about you. Please come back." What was this? Guilt after betrayal? I chuckled and replied, "Come back to do what? To see you filling the house with pictures of your first love?" Her voice trembled as she asked, "You regained your sight?" I gave a nonchalant answer. As I looked up, I saw Kai drop his smile and throw the stray dog on the ground. At that moment, he looked gloomy and disgustedly dusted off his sleeve. What shocked me even more was that Kai actually spoke. He said, "Just euthanize it, then tell my girlfriend it couldn't be saved. I'm not interested in raising this filthy thing." He wasn't mute. He had been pretending. And now, he was arguing with the staff with complete confidence. At this point, Alara's voice came from the other end of the phone, her words twisting and unreasonable. "Yes, I shouldn't have put up his photos. That was my mistake. But can you really deceive me? I hate being lied to more than anything. Why didn't you tell me you regained your sight earlier? Was it fun to mess with me?" I've been so worried about you, and I can't believe you're this kind of person. You disgust me. If you were really a man, you'd come back and apologize right now." I suddenly scoffed and immediately mocked her tone. "Yes, I shouldn't have lied to you. But can you really yell at me?" Alara gritted her teeth. Since you hate being deceived so much," I said, "let me play you something good." I then held up the phone in Kai's direction, letting her hear the sounds of Kai and the staff arguing. I smiled and said, "Your Kai's voice is fine now. Do you think the temple prayers worked, or has he just been pretending to be sick to fool you?" Chapter 7. At that moment, Kai saw Big Orange coming out of the bath and noticed me. He rushed over, hanging up my phone, and said, "You're not really blind, are you?" I looked at him with amusement and pointed toward the restroom, saying, "I was cured. But you've probably been pretending all along, right? Do you think I told Alara this?" Kai smiled mockingly and said, "Do you think she'll believe me or you? You'll always be the substitute." I laughed and said, "It's fine. Even if I'm a substitute, I'm still getting what I want. It's better than you running back to clean up the trash." Kai's expression cracked, and he reached out to grab my collar, trying to hit me. Over the years, I had neglected training due to my blindness and was no match for him in strength. But I immediately called Big Orange, and in the next moment, 6 claw marks appeared across Kai's face. He stumbled back, groaning in pain. Just as I was about to step forward to kick him, an angry voice rang out. "James, you really disgust me. What are you doing, picking on someone right after regaining your sight? You're going to get what's coming to you." Beside her, Kai gestured, causing Alara's eyes to redden. If she had just looked at me for a second longer, she would have noticed the disheveled state of my collar. But she didn't. She continued, "You just accused Kai of not being mute. But if he wasn't mute, why didn't he yell for help when you were attacking him? Look at what you've done to him, James. How did you become like this?" I couldn't be bothered to respond. I used to think she understood me well, but that wasn't her at all. I had thought she understood Kai better, but she couldn't even recognize the sound of his voice over the phone. Realizing this, I shook my head in disbelief. But Alara misinterpreted my actions. She said, "You've realized your mistake, right? Apologize now, and I can pretend like nothing ever happened, including the divorce." I was almost amused. "You still don't understand," I said. "I really want a divorce. Since I regained my sight, I've seen it all. The voice actor woman you have as a stand-in, the times you made me pray for Kai, and all those pictures of him around the house. It's clear we're done." Only then did some panic appear in her eyes. Her voice trembled as she said, "Those were just old decorations. I'm different now. I can explain," I sneered. "Explain how you deceived a blind man." I didn't bother with her or the smug Kai and turned to leave. Later, Alara called me many times, but I blocked her number. She then used Kai's phone to contact me. "James," she said, "the divorce papers got lost. I printed a new copy. Can you come back and sign it?" Chapter 8. At that time, I was at work, so I didn't directly respond to Alara's call. Instead, I sent the company address. "Just send it here after you sign it," I said. She asked, "You hate me so much that you won't even come back to see me once?" I couldn't be bothered to answer her and hung up the phone. As a security guard, I had multiple responsibilities, tasked with maintaining order. I was no one's servant, certainly not someone she could call at her convenience. The next moment, my supervisor shouted, "What are you wandering around for? Are you blind? Come over here and park the car." Got it. There was nothing I could do. After all, I also worked as a valet. Not long after I parked the car, the phone rang again. This time, it wasn't Alara calling. Kai's voice came through, dripping with sarcasm. "I just saw your text. You work at the same company as me, but I remember the company isn't hiring anyone new. They've only been hiring security guards." As he finished his sentence, I locked eyes with Kai, who was driving up. He raised an eyebrow at me, clearly smug, and got out of the car. The sunlight reflected off his high-end suit, making me, in my gray security uniform, stand out even more. With a malicious smile, he said, "Hey, little security guard, park my car quickly." His tone was as if he were commanding a dog. But unfortunately, I still needed this job. I reluctantly got into his car and parked it, gritting my teeth. The next second, he smiled again and said, "Hey, little security guard, bring my car back out. I need to go out for a business meeting." He wasn't even pretending to hide his attitude anymore. But honestly, I didn't care to call him out on it. If Alara could believe that a mute person was the manager of a listed company, what couldn't she believe? I bit my teeth and brought the car back out for him. This cycle repeated, and I became a master at parking in and out of the garage. By noon, Kai had brought a small stool, sitting down to eat and drink while directing me to reverse the car into the garage. I was furious. Was he not going to let me eat lunch? Fine, you won't eat either. I slammed the car forward and braked sharply, making him spill his food all over himself and ruining his fancy suit. I grinned at him. Sorry, Mr. Ito. My legs were shaking. His face turned red with rage, and he rushed over, pulling me out of the car and punching me in the stomach. The pain made me stagger back, and I accidentally dented his car door. Kai, furious, grabbed my hair and tried to slam my head into the door. But when he realized it was his car, his movement stalled for a moment. Seizing the opportunity, I suddenly remembered my beloved Big Orange and spun around, grabbing his face. It became a tug of war, a punch from him, a scratch from me. Eventually, I had my hands on his nose, and he was choking my neck. My face was bruised and swollen, and his head was bleeding. Finally, I could no longer hold on and collapsed to the ground. Just before I lost consciousness, I saw a familiar figure running toward me. Chapter 9. I woke up in a familiar hospital room, the smell of lilies surrounding me. This was the hospital I had visited countless times during my college days. Every time Alara came to see me, she would always bring a bouquet of lilies. Was it her who saved me? I threw the lilies on the ground and struggled to get up and leave. But just as I was about to move, the door opened, and it wasn't her who entered. The person looked at the lilies on the floor and said, "You've recovered. Don't move." It was Alara's stand-in, still mimicking Alara's tone of voice. I shook my head and said, even if it was Alara who saved me, I still want a divorce. To my surprise, she suddenly smiled. It wasn't her. It was me who saved you, she said. Maybe realizing she hadn't expressed herself well, she quickly added, I'm not trying to make you grateful. I'm just repaying your kindness. I scratched my head in confusion. She chuckled softly and said, Senior, you saved my life during the university fire. Then it hit me. During the fire in the classroom, I had rushed in, couldn't find Alara, but encountered another girl. Just then, a beam collapsed, and I pushed her out of the way, but ended up getting trapped under the debris. That's how I lost my sight. She leaned in playfully and said, if this were ancient times, I'd probably offer myself to you. But back then, you were already with Alara. She paused for a moment before continuing. So I applied to be her secretary and became her stand-in. I've been like a shadow, always by your side. Isn't that silly? I sat there stunned, unable to process what she was saying. With a flushed face, she awkwardly apologized. I'm sorry I've kept this from you all these years. I lowered my head and asked, how long have you been doing this? She replied, since you went blind in university. I asked again, when I was with you, when was it really you and when was it her? She said, for the first 3 years, it was mostly me, though sometimes she would come in for a visit. Her voice grew quieter. At that moment, everything started to make sense. No wonder Alara's attitude always seemed so inconsistent. The person I had been in love with all this time was her, not Alara. I looked at her name tag, Anna. Then I noticed the scar on her left hand. Suddenly, I remembered something from the day I left university. Alara had stood up and said something as she took my hand, and I had felt her palm was uneven. I asked, who helped me get rid of the people who were mocking me when I dropped out? Chapter 10. It was me, she said. I'm sorry for using her voice back then. I know you liked her, so I tried to get close to you that way. After confessing, Anna quickly answered a phone call and hurriedly left. I could tell she was embarrassed, and for a moment, I thought she wouldn't come back. But to my surprise, she came to visit me every day at the hospital. I couldn't stand the hospital food, so she started cooking for me herself. The meals were filled with familiar flavors. I remembered the day Alara had cooked for Kai. The meal contained mostly ingredients I was allergic to. No wonder it was like that. It turned out every meal Alara had supposedly made for me came from Anna. Every detail that made me think Alara loved me was actually Anna's affection for me. Until the day I was discharged, Alara never came to see me. Instead, the divorce papers were sent to the hospital. I filled them out and brought them to Kai at work. He said, finally, you've come to your senses. Although Kai was also covered in bandages, he still looked smug and clearly had no intention of letting me off the hook. He continued to sit next to me, commanding me to practice parking in and out. Later, seeing that I was getting more skilled, even managing to watch short videos while parking, he urgently transferred me to his department to help with miscellaneous tasks and logistics. That day, I was drenched in sweat from all the work. After barely finishing, he instructed me to rush and make 2 cups of tea for a client, even demanding the rarest tea leaves. When I entered with the 2 cups of tea, he shouted at me, "What's wrong with you? How can 3 people drink from 2 cups of tea? Don't you know it's rude to neglect our distinguished guest?" Furious, I glared at him and turned to leave, but suddenly he tripped me, and the tea splashed all over the client. I was about to explode when he preemptively yelled, "You idiot! What else can you do?" He raised his fist, but just then, a woman's voice sounded from the door. She snorted and said, "Is this how your company treats its subordinates? I think it's best to end the collaboration." I turned around to see Anna walking in, her presence commanding attention. In the next moment, the clients quickly bowed and called her Miss Anna. Kai immediately began apologizing. "It's a misunderstanding." Anna ignored him, took me outside, and carefully treated the cut on my arm from the spilled tea. She looked at me with concern and said, "Senior, it must hurt a lot, right?" I replied, "It's nothing. I wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't mentioned it." She looked even more upset and said, "You're so strong, enduring such a deep wound without saying anything." I looked at the barely noticeable cut, lost in thought. When we came out, we saw the boss reprimanding Kai at the door. Kai rushed over, apologizing so profusely that he nearly knelt down. But the next second, Anna turned to me and asked, "Did you hear someone speaking?" I immediately understood what Anna meant. She knew exactly what had happened with Kai. I smiled and shook my head. "Miss Anna, you're joking. Mr. Ito never speaks." Anna then promptly ended the agreement with Kai. As a result, Kai was demoted and exploded with rage. That wasn't my concern. I had already moved on to work at Anna's company. I later heard that Kai was planning to get someone to deal with me, or, rather, to renegotiate the agreement in an attempt to salvage his position. Chapter 11. To my surprise, it was Alara who came to find me on Kai's behalf. She looked at Anna, now transformed into a domineering female CEO, with surprise, then sneered when she saw me. She said, "What CEO? You're just a mistress clinging to someone else's husband. Don't you have any shame?" Anna gritted her teeth and replied, "Miss Liu, if you keep talking nonsense, I'll have security throw you out." Alara ignored Anna and turned her attention back to me. "Anna, you really have a poisonous mind. You've been clinging to my husband for all these years just to steal him away. But do you believe that if I beckon him, he'll come back to me?" As she spoke, she walked toward the door, waving at me. Without saying a word, I followed her, leaving Anna behind. Once outside, Alara threw herself into my arms and said, "James, I knew you still love me." She was wearing the dress I had picked out for her back when I was blind. She had held my hand and guided me through the store, letting me feel each dress, and she had chosen this one. Even though I had never seen it, I recognized it at first glance. She said, "Hubby, you know me. I was just angry before." She rarely called me hubby, and her sweet words felt like a flashback to when we had just married. But the next second, she asked, "Can you ask Anna not to tear up Kai's contract?" I replied, "No. Why not? Kai's mute. He worked so hard to get to the supervisor position." I asked, "So what?" She said, "How can you be so cruel? Why won't you leave him anyway out?" I answered, "So what?" She gritted her teeth but kept her composure and said, "Hubby, please. I owe Kai this much, just this once. You love me so much, you'll help me, right?" I was speechless. I replied, "No, I don't love you. I only came with you because I didn't want you to call Anna a mistress in front of me. I can tell that Anna has feelings for me and has done a lot for me. I can't accept her being called a mistress, so I chose to distance myself from you for now." I said, "The divorce papers have already been signed, right? We'll officially get the certificate soon." Alara widened her eyes and asked, "Signed? When did I sign it?" I nodded and said, "It's fine. We can sign it officially when we go to the civil affairs office. How about 9 a.m. tomorrow?" Chapter 12. She couldn't believe it. She tugged at my sleeve and said, "Are you in such a hurry to leave me? I don't want you to help Kai anymore. Will you come back, please?" When she realized I had truly made up my mind to leave, She started crying, not caring about her image anymore. I love you, she said. I really can't live without you. What am I supposed to do without you? She had become so accustomed to having the lights on in the house every night, waiting for her, and being treated like the only light in my life. She called it love, but I called it habit. Her crying attracted a crowd, and they started whispering, probably thinking I was a heartless man who had betrayed her. I looked at the crowd growing around us and cleared my throat. Look at what you're saying, I said. Without me, you still have Kai, don't you? When I was blind, you took me to pray, but you wrote Kai's name where I couldn't see. The wedding photo on the wall, do you remember? It was your picture with Kai, not mine. The most shameless thing, you invited Kai over to eat at home, thinking I couldn't see, and you fed each other right in front of me. And now you come to me asking what you'll do without me? What's the deal? Without me, Kai wouldn't be able to do anything, would he? As I ranted, Anna stepped forward, pulling Alara away from me. On our wedding anniversary, when you went to celebrate Kai's birthday, she added, did you ever think about how he suffered in the dark alone? And when he left, what did you and Kai do in the house? Should I even say it? You did so many disgusting things before the divorce, and now you regret it and want to make up for it. Do you even deserve it? Anna's words left Alara speechless. Over all these years, Anna had always been by my side, and she knew Alara better than anyone. The crowd, now aware of the truth, started dispersing, throwing sympathetic looks my way. But Alara still wouldn't accept reality. No, she said, James still loves me. We still have a chance. I was speechless. It was too late for that now. I didn't respond, but Anna stood in front of me, continuing her verbal barrage. You really should go get your brain checked, she said. But then again, anyone who believes a mute person could be a business executive is bound to be a little slow. Just then, Anna's phone rang. She answered it on speaker, and to my surprise, it was Kai apologizing. Miss Anna, he said, I'm sorry for what happened before. Our company will work on improving how we treat employees. But when it comes to business, we'll definitely provide a great experience for your company. Anna made sure to put it on speaker, and I saw Alara's face turn bright red. She pressed her lips together, shot me one last look, and then left. Perhaps she was thinking, as I had said before, if only she had trusted me back then. But there were no ifs now. I watched her leave, but I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no joy. Maybe it was because Alara and Kai had become so insignificant to me. Anna nudged my arm and said, do you think I was too harsh just now? I shook my head and smiled. I think you could have been even harsher, Miss Anna. You were too polite. Alara, still refusing to divorce, kept reaching out to me day after day, trying to warm me back up. She'd spend hours making me lunch, waiting outside the company just so I could eat the food she had personally prepared. Chapter 13, but I simply glanced at it and threw it into the trash. She stared at me, eyes wide, and asked, how could you treat me like this? I remained unfazed and replied, I don't eat seafood. Are you unaware that I'm allergic to it? If her sudden attempt to make up for all the harm she had caused over the years could really erase everything, then the divorce office would have been closed long ago. But forgetting the pain once the wound heals doesn't apply to me. It works perfectly fine for her, though. For example, right now, Kai is by her side, standing up for her. He said, Alara, just divorce him. I won't let you remain so humble. Alara shook her head, persisting every day, waiting for me downstairs at the office. Eventually, one day, she got heat stroke. Without hesitation, Kai gathered people to cause a scene at my office, accusing me of not cherishing our relationship and claiming that I was only working at the company because I was relying on a wealthy woman. One of my colleagues immediately threw my performance review at him, saying, I heard you and James went to the same university. You didn't even finish university, but his performance is multiple times better than yours. There are some people who, when their contract goes wrong, beg women to fix it, but have the nerve to mock others. The company security promptly escorted them out. I later heard that Kai lost his job because of his disruptive behavior. After this incident, Alara finally made up her mind to divorce me. Then Kai, who had lost his job, began relentlessly pursuing her. How do I know? Because Alara told me herself. She even thought I would care about it and told me that as long as I would come back to her, she would decisively reject Kai. I simply deleted all her contact information. Then I heard that they were together and even received a wedding invitation from them. The date was conveniently on the anniversary of Alara and my relationship. Isn't that intentionally disgusting? While I was thinking whether to make an excuse, Anna showed up with a video recording. This was found at the old campus, she said. Anna mentioned that the contents of the video involved me, both me and my ex-wife, along with her first love, Kai. The video clearly documented the truth about the fire. Kai had said it intentionally, and when the fire wasn't too big, he rushed in to save Alara. Anna, puzzled, asked, "Why would he do that?" I replied, "Maybe to create the illusion of a hero saving the beauty." Anna nodded, and then played the second part of the video, where I could be seen leaping to save Anna. She rewound it repeatedly, her eyes shining. "James," she said, "that day you saved me, but lost your sight. So I want to be your eyes in the dark, always by your side. When we went to pray that day, I hung a plaque for you. I prayed that you would regain your sight, see through the dirty people and things around you. Now that the truth is revealed," she continued, "let's give the video to the police. Those who have hurt you should pay the price." I nodded and tightly held Anna's hand. I gathered the evidence and handed it over to the police. The whole incident was surprisingly simple. Alara's parents had always looked down on Kai, who came from a poor background, so Kai wanted to change their view of him by saving her life. But he never expected to temporarily lose his voice, nor did he expect Alara's mother to give him money as thanks for saving her daughter, only to then pressure him to leave Alara and not force the issue. Under threats, he left the country. Later, when he returned from abroad, I was already with Alara, so he pretended to be mute, hoping to make Alara feel guilty and use that to destroy our marriage. What a sinister and terrifying person. And Alara was about to marry such a man. On the day of their engagement, I sent her a text, hoping to see some drama. Have you ever thought that Kai might be the one who started the fire? Chapter 14. My intention was to see them fight at the engagement party, but to my surprise, Alara replied instantly, "Why are you slandering Kai? Are you afraid I'll be happier than you?" I was speechless, but thinking about it, it was predictable. In the end, I still got to see the drama unfold. Her disbelief led to the police arresting Kai at the engagement party, right in front of everyone. At the time, Alara was pregnant. She ignored her health and desperately hit Kai, but no matter how much she regretted, it was too late. At night, Alara called me. "I'm sorry," she said. I didn't understand what she meant. She continued, "I've always thought I owed Kai, but now it seems that it's he and I who owe you. If it weren't for him, you wouldn't have lost your sight, and I was so stubborn being with you out of spite. In the end, I hurt you and myself." She kept apologizing, but I didn't respond. In the end, she cried. "Actually, the child in my belly is yours," she said. But by the time I found out, we had already separated. He promised to take care of the child, so I agreed to marry him. I said, "Don't joke because I'll really laugh." Alara sobbed, unable to speak. She cried for a long time before she said again, "I'm not joking. The child really is yours. Please come back. I'll make it up to you." I patiently replied, "I think you might be mistaken. Don't think I'll believe this. Even if I did, what would change? You don't really think you can use the child to force me to come back, do you? Don't dream. You should just wait for Kai to get out of jail. You two are clearly meant for each other. And I'll say it again, please stop disturbing my life." The big orange cat licked my palm. The moonlight reflected on the rose by the window. It was the first bouquet of flowers I had given Anna yesterday. Yesterday, I had proposed to Anna, and she had said yes. During my hardest days, she was the one who walked with me every step of the way. I would never let her down. On the other end of the phone, Alara kept whispering, but I didn't reply. Then she hung up. Later, she had a miscarriage and was deeply affected, both physically and mentally. She went to another province alone. I heard she opened a flower shop selling only lilies. We received many lilies at our wedding, but I no longer liked lilies.